All right, everybody, next up, we're going to start looking at a few things that you're going to need. They're kind of basic Rhino tools, but I find them to be sort of, ignored oftentimes in the development of our Rhino skills, unless you have a specific reason for it. First and foremost, setting a very specific camera position. So I know that I asked you to position your camera in the space. Okay, so most of you probably did what I just did in the preview thing, and you just kind of zoomed your camera in to a position like this and then said, okay, there it is, I got it. And then you went up here and you went to set view and you said named views and you called it something. So while that works, it's not extremely precise. Okay, and in this class, we're going to have to be precise because once we get to the composition phase, where you have your camera pointing is as important as anything that's shown in the scene. Okay, so how many of you know how to set a camera position, using the geometry of the space? None of you. All right, excellent. So I kind of guess I have the right audience here. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. There are a couple of simple ways of doing this. What we're going to do first is go to Set Camera, and I just kind of want to show you how the tool works first, and then I'll show you like some techniques for where you want to position it, I guess. But basically, the one that you need to focus on most is Place Camera and Target. If you do Place Camera and Target, what it's going to ask you for is a new camera location. And let's say I just wanted to place my camera on this corner. Okay. Then it's going to ask me for a target location. And let's say I want to look at the other corner of the space. Click that, and my camera moves to that location. Of course, you can't see it because it's a flat plane and it has no thickness, so that's why it just looks like a horizon and there's no roof and you're just looking down into the space. Okay, so the camera was moved to that location and it was pointing at the other location. So for us, one of the easiest things we can do to actually place us in the space in a believable fashion is to create two lines or points, however you want to do it, doesn't matter, and just locate them in the space where you want to be looking. So I'm going to place two dots. I'll use a point, not a dot. Let's go one in this back corner, so just something like that. Then I'm going to place another one over here in, let me actually create that object I was going to have in here. So I'm going to create an object right here, and 6 feet tall. Okay, so that's probably going to want to be more like there. All right, so that's the object I'm going to look at in the space. So I'm going to place my point there, whoops, and I'm going to select both points, and I'm going to lift them up. Oh, look at that. One of them already is at 6 feet. Okay, that's good. So I'll place this one 6 feet up. So now they're both 6 feet up from the ground. If I do from this view, I go to right click and I go to Set Camera and I say Place Camera and Target. I'm going to choose, make sure you have points turned on. I'm going to choose this point. I'm going to choose that point. So now my camera is exactly at the 6 foot height, which is actually a little high. Most people's eyes are not at 6 feet. Even a 6 foot tall person, their eyes are at like 5'8". So just be careful of that, or cognizant if you need to. So realistically, if this was a 6 foot tall object, let's move it down and get a more realistic look at it. Let's go down -4 inches, and I'll do the same thing. Yeah. Set camera, place camera and target. I'm going to choose that. I'm going to choose that. Okay, so it has an ever so slightly sort of upturned corner on this object. Okay, that's what it looks like for me. Doesn't mean that's exactly what it's going to look like for you. But that's how you set a camera using a very specific geometry. Any questions? Okay. Additionally, there are other ways that you can set cameras too, most of which I don't really use that much. You can move target based on objects. You can orient the camera to a particular surface. So if I wanted to put it on the surface right there, it just kind of jumps me to look directly at that surface. I would say rather than just putting a point on a surface, rather than just picking a spot on the field of that surface, you probably want to drop a point on the surface, maybe one exactly in the middle, like that. And then pull it down to whatever height you want to look at it at. And then say set camera, orient camera to surface, this surface, and pick that point. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So in terms of controlling where you place the camera, I think that's about all you're going to need, at least for the majority of this class.